Panentheism. Disclaimer: I have done some research on this topic, but I might not be completely right. I'm not saying that anything that I am saying here is definitive. This is my ideas, even more than it's my beliefs. And this is just a little bit about Panentheism. Hopefully most of the information I give you is correct. For me, it's the belief that myself and all that we know and beyond is part of a divine entity, conscious or unconscious, physically and spiritually. I think that one can think of this as a being or even just a strong connection that each thing, idea, person, and particle have to each other. I'm going to reference Peter Kirby on the Internet Infidels discussion board. Panentheism, in a nutshell, says that the universe is Pantheism in a nutshell says that the universe is God. Panentheism affirms that the universe is God, but goes further. God is more than the sum total of all the parts of the universe, transcendence. Think of it like this. Draw a circle mentally or physically, the crayon if it's too complex to imagine. The universe is the circle. Atheism has just the circle. Pantheism has God equivalent to the circle, or calls the circle or nature God. Deism calls the circle creation and has God existing stationary outside the circle. Supernatural theism calls the circle creation and has God on the outside of the circle, but interacting with it, violating the laws of physics and making asses talk and axe heads float and other strange things like letting the Holocaust happen. Panentheism is equivalent with pantheism, but in one regard, but goes further. Draw another circle around the first circle. The inner circle is existence as we know it, the universe, and the outer circle is God. God is the ground of our being. In Him we live, move, and have our being. He or she is everything, yet God is more than the sum total of all parts. That is Panentheism in a nutshell. It does not force us to believe in an absentee landlord, and it has the best qualities of the supernatural theism without all the difficulties. It has the best of both worlds and none of the difficulties. This is why I believe prayer works. Look at prayer in the 5 scenarios above. First, I define prayer as communicating with God and separate it from certain types of meditating. I'm not going to cover all the different types of prayer except for in Panentheism it has God as the ground of being. When we pray, we are not praying to the universe as an inanimate object, an absentee landlord, the deity of supernatural theism, or a non-existent deity. Atheism. We are praying to a God who is right there with us. We pray to the one in whom we live, move, and have our being. Panentheism is just a different way of seeing God. Many of us think of God as being out there. Panentheism brings God right here. Panentheism, this is from a different writer on the same website. The belief that the being of God includes and penetrates the whole universe so that every part of it exists in Him, but, as against Pantheism, that His being is more than and is not exhausted by the universe. In regards to the relationship to prayer, one way that I think about it is almost that we're like part of the body of God, and prayer is touching a nerve or sending feedback, perhaps. It's not two separate entities going, hey, this, and the other one being like, well, whatever. It's one unit. Studies have shown that prayer and meditation work. I believe this is because divine energy flows through all of us and between us all the time. They've proven that people are linked together in some way other than physical, and many of us have seen it for ourselves. One scientist that I'll reference for this particular belief is William Tiller, who is in the Stanford University faculty and a professor of physics, and has had many other scholarly honors, several patents, and has written many books, including Psychoenergetic Science, A Second Copernican Scale Revolution, and Some Science Adventures with Real Magic, and like 8 other books and like hundreds and hundreds of papers. I saw him give a conference once. It was pretty cool stuff. He seems premonitions even as simple as mothers knowing their children are in danger, which you hear about all the time. Like, they were in the other room, and I was in my room, and all of a sudden I just knew I had to go check on them. And it wasn't like anything had changed physically, they just knew. And you hear stories about that pretty frequently. Picking up the phone a moment before someone calls you. Like, several times I've picked up my phone to call someone, and right as I'm about to hit the send button or hit their name, they call me up. Remarkable things which are so commonly called coincidence, even though they happen repeatedly. If there's some sort of science other than the references I've made that show humans as separate, and that there aren't any kinds of those connections, I welcome it. I don't know if you can even disprove something like that. I'm not trying to be hard. I really am interested and open. Like I said, none of this is all in all for me. Panentheism is different from pantheism because pantheists usually believe nature is God and everything in the known universe is God. This Panentheism goes one step further and includes everything we don't know. Joe Watt mentioned recently that there are truths, maybe there's some things people just can't know. Our brains aren't wired to be able to understand certain truths. It doesn't mean they're not truths, it just means that we don't get them. I think that this includes all of those truths as well. Panentheism and pantheism both have roots in many other of the world's oldest religions. And I'm going to scroll through the Wikipedia entries for both of them and give a brief summary of the roots and histories. And it looks like this video is already running a little bit long, so I will continue this in part 2.